is up, YouTube? I am trying to get more information. The tragedy of Carmelo Anthony and Austin Metcalf. Criminal law reacts. Oh my gracious. I'm still trying to get the 411 on all this stuff, man. I didn't even know the little boy, rest in peace, Austin. I didn't know he had passed away, number one. Number two, I didn't even know he had a twin brother, so I'm kind of new at all this. So I'm learning this as we speak. But one thing I do know is, I don't care if it's raining or not, you go to that's not your tent, that's their tent. They asked you to leave, and you didn't leave, and then a scuffle started. I mean, in your bag, you got a knife. Why did you bring a knife to school? Why do you have this knife in your bag? What school do you go to where you need you the captain of the football team or one of the stars on the football team? You're supposed to be setting an example. Why do you have this knife? I don't understand that, man. I'm trying to. I would love for somebody to just explain that knife thing to me. Period. I mean, why do you have a knife? Hit that subscribe button. Hit that bell. Let's check this bad boy out.
You know, everybody is doing this knee-jerk bullshit where, oh, you, no, you, no, you, and you know they do it on the road all the time.
Bruce Rivers, he's the criminal lawyer. Bruce Rivers, he's the criminal lawyer. Bruce Rivers, he's the criminal lawyer. And what he do? And he's gonna react to all the self-snitching.
Self-snitching.
Hi, this is Bruce Rivers. Welcome to another fun-filled episode of Criminal Lawyer Reacts. I'm Bruce Rivers here on CLR. That's Criminal Lawyer Reacts. Originally created by our former content genius, Michael Rivers, God rest his soul. And this started out as a father-son project, and now it's a creative way for me to pay for my daughter's tuition. But we miss Michael terribly, and as you know, he died in November of a drug overdose.
Damn, man.
And so this is one way to keep his memory alive. This was his baby. He grew up on YouTube, and that's why we do this, you know. Anyway, but today we're reacting to Carmelo Anthony. Carmelo Anthony is a case where somebody stabbed somebody at a sporting event, and it's gone just kind of crazy. And we'll get into that here in a minute. But before we get to that, this is brought to you by AskALawyer.com. AskALawyer.com is an effective way if you have your grandma in your basement and she's complaining about you and she thinks she needs a lawyer. Well, guess what? You just give her this number or go to AskALawyer.com. I'm sure she's got her laptop in your dungeon of a basement that you keep her and chained to a chair. But if your grandma is in your basement and she has some questions about illegal, or even if you do, for $49 you can ask a real lawyer any question. You get the answer right away. So it's relatively inexpensive. It's and so we love them, they love us, and let's just keep it going. Give them some love. All right. So at a Frisco Independent School District Stadium in Frisco, Texas, during a track and field event, 17-year-old Austin Metcalf died after another student stabbed him during an altercation in the bleachers. Young people are so fucking stupid. They don't realize how precious life is. You know, I've talked to you before about permanency, about, teens being able to see the consequences of their actions. This is just acting out without regard. So the suspect is a guy by the name of Carmelo Anthony, and he's been charged with first-degree murder. Let's just kind of look at a video clip from the news.
A teenager accused of stabbing another student athlete at a track meet told officers as he was being taken into custody that he did it in self-defense.
Austin Metcalf was killed this week at that Frisco track meet. New documents detail what happened before and after 17-year-old Carmelo Anthony allegedly pulled a knife from his backpack and stabbed him. Fox 4's Alex Boyer joining.
So what do we got? We got a black kid killing a white kid, and so there's a racial component.
No, what we got here is a high school kid killing another high school kid. What we got here is two football players that was running track. That's what we got here.
In Frisco, Texas, when you have self-defense, we'll get into the elements of self-defense in a second. That is a good defense. Self-defense is a defense.
Joining us now live with the latest.
Not in this
Alex.
case, though.
Hey guys, and in that 7-page arrest warrant affidavit, several witnesses, including Metcalf's twin brother, describe how that deadly encounter went down. The suspect then reportedly admitted to a Frisco police officer who detained him that he had stabbed Metcalf.
One of the things I like about cases like this is there's really no dispute as to what happened, right? There's no dispute that I had a knife and I stabbed this guy, okay? There is a dispute as to exactly how it happened and what does it mean legally. Self-defense, number one, you can't start the fight. You can't start a fight and then avail yourself of self-defense. So if I punch you in the face, I lose my right to claim self-defense. Number two, you have to, the force that you use has to be proportional. You can't use a firearm when somebody is like hitting you with a feather.
Hitting you with a pillow.
That's an
yeah.
extreme example, but you get what I mean. And then you also, if you're able, and the defense has to put forth some showing of it. So it's initially the defense's burden to put up some evidence of self.
First of all, the self-defense ain't gonna hold. If you smart enough and you understand how the system work, you factually know your self-defense is some bull, because you could have left a tent. You had a way of escape. I was defending myself. I was in fear of my life, so I took somebody else's life. That is beyond a reasonable doubt. You could have just left. They were asking you to leave. All you had to do is leave. Yeah, it was raining. That's why you didn't want to leave, because you melt in the rain. The self-defense is not going to fly with this guy, man. I'm sorry. I wish it was more. You came with a knife to a track meet. Self-defense or premeditated?
Self-defense. But once the judge...
The more they talk about self-defense, the more somebody else can say, you planned this. You knew it was going to rain. You had the knife. Your excuse was, it's raining, so I'm going under your tent. Anybody tent. This is my team, this is my family. This is my tent. And some stranger come, you can't go to somebody else's picnic and just start making a plate.
Grants that self-defense instruction, guess whose burden it is to prove that it wasn't? It is the state's job to prove, and their burden to prove that it wasn't self-defense.
Here's what happened according to witnesses and the police report.
Okay.
Metcalf got into an argument with the suspect, 17-year-old Carmelo Anthony, over a seating dispute in the bleachers. Metcalf told Anthony he needed to move from under the team's tent.
He always was one to step up and be the person that would do the right thing. And he was doing the right thing by saying to this gentleman that you're not supposed to be in this tent. This is because they have personal items there.
Anthony opened his bag and reached inside and said to Metcalf, "Touch me and see what happens." Metcalf reportedly...
That's taunting. It's not starting the fight necessarily, but that's taunting.
Grabbed Anthony and told him to move.
He knew he wasn't supposed to be there. He was just a tragedy what happened.
That's when Anthony pulled out a black knife and stabbed Metcalf in the chest once before running away. When Anthony was taken into custody by a...
Why wouldn't you just fucking move? Honestly. Why would you... It seems to me, at first blush, now I don't know this, I don't know, I haven't read all the police reports, I haven't read all the,
Same here.
Clearly I don't have any of the discovery, but it seems to me if it happened anywhere close to that they're not going to get a self-defense instruction.
Frisco police officer Anthony reportedly confessed to the crime, saying, "He put his hands on me. I told him not to," adding that, "I was protecting myself." And
This is the best prime example right here. I'm going to stay up on this case. This is the prime example of people thinking they know the law. I know my rights. People acting. It's acting. They act like they know their rights. You cannot go to somebody else's tent, sit there under the tent, and then when somebody tell you to move and you don't move and they start putting their hands on you, you start stabbing them. self-defense, yeah, okay, I can see that. But see, people, y'all need to study and understand the law. What's on the books. That sounds like can be self-defense, but the law states that you had no other choice but to pull that knife out. You could have just got up and left. You didn't have to fight them guys. They was asking you to leave. Make me leave. Get your hands off of me. Go get the other kids should have got a parent, an adult, a teacher. They didn't do that. You should have went and got his coach. They didn't do that. He decided I am the captain and I'm going to put my hands on him. Was he wrong? Yes, he was wrong for putting his hands on him. Another student from another school. But that is not the point. The point is, if they would have fought, and that was it, because we even. Nah, you came out there with a knife. As soon as he hit you, you could stab somebody. That's not how self-defense works. It doesn't work that way. But yet everybody think they know the law.
And then asked the police officer, is he going to be okay?
So what we have is, we don't have really an intention to commit a crime, and we have Metcalf closing the gap. And I always say whoever closes the gap is the one that loses the fight, because even though he's not, Metcalf isn't a security guard. Metcalf has got no business putting his hands on another student. What are you gonna?
Facts.
Because you're a fucking football player. You're gonna, I got bullied by football players when I was in high school. I was 5'7", 130 pounds, and these guys are all much bigger than me, and not a lot of love for bullies. And so you're gonna be a tough guy, and you're gonna grab this guy, and I'm gonna throw you out of here. And at the same time, Anthony knows what's gonna happen, and he's bracing himself for it. He's standing his ground. Does he have the right to stand his ground? I don't know if it's a stand your ground state or not. I would suspect Texas is. But, these are dumb disputes. Because over what? Him sitting in the fucking tent? He shouldn't have stabbed him. No question about it. But he shouldn't have put his hands on him either. Go get a fucking teacher. Go get a security guard.
I just said that.
We live in a society where everybody is doing this knee-jerk bullshit where, oh, fuck you, no, fuck you, no, fuck you. And, they do it on the road all the time. You see these road rage incidents that happen. This is just like that.
When this guy was just sitting in the wrong spot and they asked him to move. And he winds up stabbing my son in the heart and killing him.
Fuck, that's crazy.
It's unfortunate. But he's gonna have to answer to those consequences.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Is that, and I know Hunter probably, everything happened so quickly. I mean, is that what he kind of told you what happened? Did you know Austin to have any enemies? Did Austin know this person?
No, they have no contact with this person ever before. I can tell you what happened. I know firsthand. I wasn't there, but I talked to my son, everything. I know exactly how it all transpired. It was multi-Briscoe High School track meet. Many high schools were there. It started to rain, and they have their own little tent for memorial, and they were sitting there. And
Anthony's trying to get out of the rain. That's why he was sitting under the tent. And
someone was behind him mouthing off, and he turned around and said, "Who are you?" And he said, "I'm Mello." He said, "Well, you don't belong here. You don't go to memorial." He had a Centennial tracksuit on. He said, "You need to leave. This ain't your spot." And some words were discussed. I'm not going to say on camera but he asked him to leave and basically said, "Make me." And then he wound up stabbing him in the heart and killing him. All over someone sitting in the wrong spot at a track meet. Now, I don't blame his parents. I don't blame him. But they all will suffer too. Well, it started with a call from his football coach who was not at the track meet and said,
Can you imagine? I'm shocked that this father is as composed as he is and being as generous with his version of the facts as he is.
I think Austin has been stabbed. And I said, "Where at?" And he said, "Kukendall Stadium." I said, "I'm on my way." So I drove up there, went through a load of police officers, and was able to see my son on the gurney. with a huge hole and blood all over him, and they were pumping him. He wasn't breathing, and his eyes were rolled back in his head. So I had to find his...
Not something any parent wants to see. Death of a child is the worst thing you could possibly go through.
Brother, they're twins, and so I found Hunter and tried to get him under control as best we could, and then I loaded him up in my car and we drove to the hospital as quickly as possible. And when the doctors came in and said that he didn't make it, it was tough. My son took it extremely hard.
And imagine losing your twin. You know, it's your twin brother. I mean,
damn, man, that's crazy.
It's your fucking flesh and blood. You know,
damn.
And this young kid. I mean, they're gonna try him as an adult. Was he 17 years old? You know, they're gonna try him as an adult, and he could get life in prison without parole.
I'm still in shock, to be honest. I mean, I'm just, I'm numb. So it really hasn't hit me. I pray that maybe there's changes made as far as security or things like that, and maybe we can learn from this and try to turn a tragedy into something positive.
What a remarkable poise from this father, honestly.
To make sure it doesn't happen to anyone else's child. I've already forgiven the person who stabbed him. God's going to take care of everything. God's taking care of my son. I kissed him. When I kissed him goodbye for the last time, I told him it's not goodbye, it's see you later. So.
Awful. I know the last time I saw Michael, I grabbed his leg and I held it for about a minute. And that was the last time I touched him. When he kissed his son's forehead, kissed him goodbye, you know, I bet you that last kiss of his, he'll remember that till the day he dies. And that gave him a little bit of peace. I guarantee it did.
I just have to trust in God and my faith to pull us through. I don't understand his plan. We're all subject to trial and tribulations.
That ain't for us to understand God's plan.
I do hope for justice, because this is unacceptable.
And the fact that, you know, someone was immediately taken into custody, they know who did this, they are charging him with murder. I mean, how does that make you feel, that police immediately got this person?
First of all, I feel sorry for that individual, because he's now made a mistake that's going to cost him the rest of his life. The hard part that cost me is I lost my son, and his brother was holding him, trying to hold the blood in, and he passed. My son watched his brother die in his arms.
At a track meet. You come armed to a track meet? Is that where we are? I mean, we see shootings happen all the time, so I suppose, why wouldn't you bring a knife? In the arrest report, there was a chain link fence that separated me from the suspect. I gave the suspect instructions to keep his hands up in the air. During this time, the suspect said virtually out loud, "I was protecting myself." It should be noted that I had not questioned him about the incident when he made that comment, you know, obviously, because it's something, I didn't question him, because he hadn't been Mirandized yet. I asked him if he had any weapons, and he said no. I pat him down for weapons while we were walking along the fence, and I did not locate any on his person, so he got rid of the knife. I instructed the male to continue walking along the fence, which he complied, towards an area where there was an opening on the fence. I mean, you got a kid who's said, okay, I did this, but I was trying to protect myself. While walking him off the track, the suspect also said he put his hands on me. I then detained the suspect in the handcuffs and handcuffed him behind his back and then had him sit down on the ground. Officers had arrived on the scene at this time. I conducted another pat-down of his person and then searched his person after he gave me consent. No weapons were located. While the suspect sat on the ground, I advised that I had the alleged suspect. The suspect then responds, "I am not alleged. I did it." So he's taking responsibility right away for doing this, but he's saying I did it because he put his hands on me and I was afraid for my life. incident while he was escorted to the vehicle. I searched his person once again, and I had him sit in the back seat. While the suspect was in the back seat, I noticed fresh blood on his left middle finger. I verbally acknowledged that I saw the blood out loud so that it would be captured on my body-worn camera. It should be noted that the suspect asked me, is he going to be okay while in the back seat? That's important because that negates an intent to kill. So you have an intentional and unintentional murder. So if somebody puts their hands on me and I don't really have the right to self-defense, but I didn't mean to kill them, then you have, maybe an unintentional murder, which is like half of what the guidelines are for intentional murder. Austin, and the suspect, who was later identified as Carmelo Anthony, was from Centennial High School and was sitting under the Memorial High School tent. Austin had told Anthony that he needed to move out from under there, and it's raining, so the kid wants to get out of the rain, out of the team's tent, and Anthony grabbed his bag, opened it, and reached inside and proceeded to tell Austin, touch me and see what happens. I don't like that fact for Anthony. No one really thought Anthony really had any weapons in his bag, and Austin proceeded to touch Anthony, and then Anthony told Austin to punch him and see what happens. A short time later, Austin grabbed Anthony to tell him to move, and Anthony pulled out a black knife and stabbed Austin once in the chest and then ran away. Austin began grabbing his chest and telling everyone to get help, and he advised that he did, and he just died there at the scene. You have a duty to retreat in some. If you have a stay in your ground state, you don't have a duty to retreat. If you're not a stay in your ground state, then you have a duty to retreat where it's reasonable to do so. The fact that he was able to run away, what does that tell you? Because if you have the ability to run away and you don't do it, you don't get self-defense. So Carmelo Anthony is being held on $1 million bond. The attorney said they plan to work with the Collin County District Attorney's Office to seek a reduced bond and a better determination of the filed charge. This will certainly be a long road ahead, and during this challenging time, we ask for prayers for both families, and we ask for your patience and respect for the legal process as we see the truth, the attorney said. Here's the thing. The one thing I do like is this kid didn't run away. I mean, he ran away from the initial scene, but he didn't try to hide. He got rid of the weapon, so he didn't have a weapon on him anymore, apparently. And
that's not good.
And he admitted to what he did. And it seems to me he just overreacted to what was really an assault. I mean, there's no question that an assault was being. I mean, you don't have the right to put your hands on somebody to get him away from your tent. And why wouldn't you let him just sit under your tent? If it's raining and he's sitting there in the fucking rain.
Show sportsmanship.
Wouldn't that be good sportsmanship? No, I'm not blaming.
Y'all would think I've seen this. I swear I haven't seen this yet. Sportsmanship. Help people. I say that all the time on these channels, the Music Recording Network, the World's Largest Rap Contest. We are trying to help people. If everybody in the world would focus a little bit more on helping people, not hurting people. Just focus on helping somebody. That person probably have a smile on his face for a whole week just because you decided to help him instead of hurting somebody. Let the man sit under the tent. You should have came as the captain of the football team or the track team or whatever. You should have came over there and said, yo, man, it's raining, man. Let the brother sit here for a little bit. You all right, bro? Yeah, I'm all right. And then when he go back to his tent and say, man, they soft. They let me sit under their tent, man. I was over that joint flexing on them, and they let me sit on their tent. You take it out on the field. Punish them on the field. Punish them on the court. You punish them in the game. That's how you handle this business. It's a sport. This ain't no fighting who can duck or accidentally hit the person first. Really?
The kid that died at all. But these things just escalate, Carmelo Anthony's father released a statement. Carmelo Anthony and his family lawyers released a statement on Monday, and it says, Carmelo and the entire Anthony family are sincerely saddened that a life was lost and offer their condolences to the family of Austin Metcalf. And they also called for people to refrain from rushing to judgment until the facts are out. The statement continued, the father of a Texas accused fatally stabbed football star from a rival school over a seat at the stadium says his son is a good kid who was provoked to violence. Everyone has already made their assumptions about my son, but he's not what they're making him out to be. This is Andrew Anthony's father, told in a post. The elder Anthony insisted that his son didn't instigate the tragic brawl over a seat at the stadium in Frisco, Texas, where the boys' school had met for a track meet. He was not the aggressor. He was not the one who started it. That's fine. But if there's no duty to retreat in Texas, and I think Texas is a stand-your-ground state, then it becomes whether what he did was reasonable under the circumstances. And that's up for debate, right? Let's say it's two white kids. Let's say it's switched. Let's say the kid that died was black. I mean, there is a racial component to this. So you know that Twitter or X is a dumpster fire. This case in particular has created a lot of vitriolic and racial comments. On one side is demonstrating some genuine go back to whatever type of statements, and the other side is cheering Austin's death. Nobody should be doing either one. White folks out here asking why Carmelo Anthony had a knife and no problem with a 17-year-old like Kyle Rittenhouse having an AR-15 that he wasn't licensed to carry. I love giving supremacists their own medicine. It makes me so happy to see them upset. Nobody should be happy about this. Nobody should be happy about this. You know, I'm not going to really read these. I mean, is this self-defense? It's going to come down to whether it was reasonable or not. That's really what it comes down to. Keep your kids as close as you can, but once they become teenagers, guess what? They're out of our control. All you can do is just kind of hold them best you can, and I hope they make the right decisions, you know, where they are. My heart goes out to the Carmelo Anthony's family. My heart goes out to the Metcalf family. They both lost children. They both lost innocence. Hold your kids close and check in with them and make sure they're making good decisions. So we'll see you next time here on Criminal Lawyer Reacts. I'm Bruce Rivers, your board-certified criminal defense lawyer. Make sure you subscribe, follow us on Twitter, follow us on Facebook, and subscribe. Sign up for Patreon. We're going to do some cool things on Patreon, I think, coming up. Going to give you guys some previews of stuff. I might even do a live reaction. And remember, if you sign up for Patreon, you're a paid member, you get a hat straight away. So we'll see you next time here on Criminal Lawyer Reacts. I'm Bruce Rivers. We'll see you next time.
Bruce Rivers just broke down your case. He know all the charges that you about to face.
That self-defense thing, man, is going to be so hard. I can see 10% of the people that watch movies and stuff, they going to be like, yeah, it's self-defense. Nah. Put your hand. He told him twice, I think, but we wasn't there. I'm just going by, you know, you put your hands on me. So he put his hands on him. You hit me, see what happens. Then he hit him. You know, because he a bad, you know, when they come down to sports, I'm a tough guy too. These are sports I'm fighting for my school. You are now 10. And the whole time I think that if he would have came and said, yo, man, let the guy stay in our tent so he can see how we do things. You know, now people talking about, they had personal belongings in the tent and all this stuff. Come on, man. We gotta do better. We never going, oh man, y'all let me know what y'all think, man. I feel as though bringing a knife to school is means we need to look into something. We really need to look into something, guys. Y'all take it light, take it slow. Tell them Uncle Mike told you so. Peace out.